Hey everyone, John here, and I'm so sorry about how late this video is. It's been about 3 weeks since my last one, and I'm so sorry. It's just that I've been completely swamped by my hospitality course. And even though I finished that about a week ago now, I've immediately been placed into practical placement, which is essentially just me being at an actual business and me following their instructions and learning the ropes and stuff from all that. Even though I am enjoying the work I'm doing and everything, it is really emotionally demanding. And every time that I've sat on the train and said, okay, today's the day I'm going to sit down and record myself, I'm going to do it, I've just been completely flat out by the time I got home, But yeah, a lot of things has happened, so let's go over what has happened, essentially. As you can see, I have a new doll area now. I have sort of moved into the office, but turns out my partner's dad is actually going to move houses in a couple months, so I could get half of my stuff in here, but he's kind of left his stuff in there as well, so... But, it's nice to be able to at least contain my dolls inside a room and not worry about anyone touching them and everything, so... I don't know if the lighting's good or bad, it's just that my lamp has just gone missing for some reason, so that's why there's dark shadows and everything. But, yeah, So that's basically summed up my last couple of weeks. But even with all that happening, I did manage to squeeze out a lot of customs and managed to find a lot of dolls at Savers just because my work is on the way to Savers. So after work, I do kind of swing by Savers and see what I can find. So yeah, let's get started. My first two Savers finds was the 12 Dancing Princesses Ashland doll. Yeah, I've really been wanting this doll because she uses the Tango Barbie sculpt, and so I really love the Tango Barbie sculpt because it has really unique features for a fashion doll, and that she uses the Nikki skin tone, so it's slightly darker than average skin tone and just gives her a pretty unique look. And yeah, I did end up thrifting this body as well at Savers at a separate time, but yeah, very happy about her. She's very pretty and she really brings me back to my early days as a doll collector, because I remember seeing all the 12 Dancing Princesses dolls on sale and I'm just like, there's too many head sculpts, I'm so overwhelmed, I will buy this when I can. But I never did because I was poor and a child, so... But so good to finally have another Tangle sculpt to add to my little collection. And yeah. The other doll that was packaged with her was this Flavor's Happy Deedle. And as you can see, she does have a similar face sculpt to the Tango doll. But all the Flavors dolls, they weren't actually Barbie. They were just made by Mattel to compete with Bratz, but I really do think Flavors did have a lot of potential customizing wise. I just didn't have the skill set to do it. So yeah, I put her on a fashionista body because her head is bigger than a lot of bigger than the non-balloon headed dolls that I have. And I think it does balance her out a lot more because her original body is a lot shorter, it's a lot more petite, and it really did look a lot more Bratzy. So yeah, I also took out all the blonde streaks in her hair just so that she's more of a brunette. And I think she has a very unique look to her. And she also brings me back to my doll collecting days in the beginning, so yeah. And because of that... I ended up using Happy D's body for my cheerleader Oklahoma doll. for some reason, Oklahoma's head is a lot smaller than a lot of my other collector dolls. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I don't know what happened. I do think it shrunk, for, like, in the packaging or whatever. It's just, like, it's a lot harder even after I removed all the glue from her head, and that, like, it was even small when I got her out of the packaging. So I don't know if it was just, like, the way she was stored, or that, like, you know, she was just sitting in a warehouse and stuff. But yeah, trying to find her, like, a decent-sized body to go for her head was just really hard, so having the Happy D body is a lot better, just because you can see that it is really petite in comparison, even with, like, the Barbie legs and the fashionista arms that I attached to the body. Like, the torso is very small, and that her original rubber legs were actually, like, up to here or something, so even giving her longer legs, like, yeah, just really, like, still is a very small, petite body. And since it matches her skin tone and everything, like, I'm very happy that she is on a body that I'm more happy with, and that it is small, but it's very posable, and it still fits, like, a lot of Barbie clothes. So, yeah. I saw someone online selling the live-action Cinderella Lady Tremaine head that is modeled after Kate Blanchett. And, yeah. So, I got it for, like, a really, really good price. I think it was, like, about the cost of a normal fashionista, which is pretty good considering that her retail price here is about $70. And I didn't want to get her awful satin outfit or her really stiff molded-handed body either. So I got her for just the head, and I first tried putting her onto a fashionista body that is spray painted, but the neck was really small. It didn't really suit her head, so I ended up taking apart the Integrity Toys Barbie Basic Edition body. Like, I cut off the rubber arms, and I took off the rubber legs and everything. And so I put Made to Move arms on here. And I put the top of that torso onto the body of a pink shirt Made to Move body, and then used my Montana brand spray paint. I just spray painted all of it to match her. And I was going to just use the original Integrity Toys body, but, like, the hips, it was too skinny at the waist, and when I attached the legs, like, the legs just, like, bulged out like that. So, I don't know. I still have this torso piece, and even though that the Made to Move legs could have fitted on this because the hip knobs were very large, I just couldn't really, like it. So, yeah, I think this gives her, like, a more mature looking body, but it suits her head very well, and I'm very happy that I got her. So, yeah. About a couple days before I started my course, I opened up my Modern Circle Ken doll that I've been keeping packaged for a while, and I tried to acetone shrink his head, and his head just has not shrunk at all. It hasn't even been affected by it. Like, his head's still really soft, it's not stiff at all. And that's, like, about 5 weeks ago now. So I finally bit the bullet and decided to, like, do something with him. Yeah. I decided to give him, like, proper eyebrows, just because the ones that he originally came with, there was just, like, one little rectangle here and one rectangle up there. And even though that did really kind of go well with the pop art aesthetic that he was, like, the doll line was going for, it just didn't really look good displayed with any other doll. And I already have the original version up there, like, somewhere up there. But I'm too lazy to take it down to compare, but yeah. So he has more of an attitude now, and yeah. Haven't really done much else with him, but I've also added some subtle changes to his face. Like, I also added some shading to his eyes and added a bit of like shading around his eyes just to give them a bit more depth and a bit more detail. But yeah, not sure if I'm going to do anything else with him, but it did feel good just making a couple subtle changes to the doll that I wasn't really happy with. So yeah. I've also got around to finishing the head sculpt that I put on my Pure Nemo body. Her head is like entirely made out of milliput, like 2-part epoxy. I did that because the neck knob itself is an independent ball, which is just friction gripped onto there. So I didn't need to worry about like any kind of restriction on her head. But it's just taken me forever to even get around to painting it because like I just wasn't inspired by it, and I really didn't think I did a good job on it. But since I put like the deer face up on it, it really helps cover up a lot of the sculpting flaws that I did. And I do think it looks very Momoko-ish. Like, I really was going for that simplified Japanese look to her. And yeah, I'm very happy that she has a face now. But I'm not sure if I'm happy with her little fur wig that I made. And I'm not sure if I'm going to like give a little antlers as well. And I don't know if I'm going to attach them to her head directly or if I'm just going to like put it on a headdress like this. So yeah. But yay, she has a head. I've finished this Ray doll like a couple months ago, like face-up wise. She was made with a sweet tea Barbie head, but I never really liked her on the made-to-move body just because it didn't really suit her head. So the other day I decided to try body swapping a couple dolls around, and I plopped her head onto the Disney Store and Twilight Bella leg hybrid body that I made, and it really did suit her head a lot better because the Disney Store torso is a lot more petite than the belly button Barbie body. Even though I've seen no one point that out, it is a lot more petite. It's very subtle, but it bothers me like when a head doesn't really suit the body proportion wise. So I ended up digging through my doll clothes and found out that the Hunger Games Katniss pants and the shoes were like basically perfect for Rey. Usually the pants are full length, but I just pushed them out like that and it works really well. The shirt is basically made from scrap fabric, and the armbands are just wrapped pieces of fabric with me stitching it up there and there to hide the ends. And this is just a stocking. It is literally a stocking. Like, I couldn't find any other fabric that had the right drape to it. So, yeah. I'm not entirely happy with the color that the weird drapey thing is. Like, I am keeping an eye out for grayish kind of stockings or white stockings that I can dye a little dirty just to make it look a bit more like the movie. But I think for a fashion doll styled Star Wars doll, like, I think she really captures that look without it being too plasticky looking like the official Rey action figure. And yeah. Otherwise, I haven't really been working on custom dolls per se. I've just mostly been finding dolls at Savers and sort of cleaning them up when I do have the energy to do it. So these other ones are also the rest of the dolls in this video are just going to be dolls that I've cleaned up and or just rebodied. So yeah, the Savers near my partner's house, usually they don't have really good things, but one time I did check, I did find these two dolls. The one on the left, she's the 2011 Playline ballerina doll. She came on a molded torso she came with sculpted clothes on, and her body was really stiff. But her head is actually quite mature looking. I've compared her head to the Playline size dolls and the collector size dolls, and her head is collector sized. And her face up really reminds me of the Barbie Basics Leah doll, which I still really regret not getting because I told myself I couldn't find a body for her, and I probably will never find a body for her. And then the Made to Move bodies came out. And that's also the reason why I didn't buy this doll when I saw her in stores. It was 2011, and the only moderately available bodies were the fashionista bodies, but they only came in 2 skin tones, and they were tan and tanner. So trying to find a body that matched her skin tone would have been impossible, and I just didn't want to spend $7 getting a doll head and then not being able to even get her a decent sized body. But now that I got her, and I got her on a Made to Move body, I'm very happy that I did. She has a lot of attitude, and I'm always looking for more Asian dolls to add to my collection. So yeah. The other doll is this knockoff Lika doll. She's definitely not the real Lika because she's only rooted around the outside of her scalp, and her arms bend out, and her torso is the Takara Blythe body sculpt. It isn't the Lika sculpt. And of course the feet are tiny little Barbie feet, while Lika has flatter, bigger feet. So yeah. So the Godscoped is one of my favorite sculpts, but I feel like I haven't got enough of it just because ones that I did get, they were either available only through Playline or they were the Barbie Basics. But I never been able to really customize one before. So I found this Barbie Basics doll at Savers, and she had awful hair. It was just completely cut off. It was all gone. And so I intended to reroot her with darker hair, possibly black. But after I removed all her hair and then I boiled her head so all the rooting holes were shrunken down, she actually looked really cute having no hair at all. And she didn't look unfinished. She just looked like she had... Yeah. She just looks like she has a couple unique markings on her bald head. And I don't know, I think she has a good look to her. So I keep hoping to find a black dress version of the Barbie Basics Godscoped, but yeah. So I started collecting dolls when Fashion Fever was in stores. So that was a very long time ago. And one of the dolls that I've always really regretted customizing to hell and back was Gillian. And even though I still have the original Gillian that I customize, and I don't think she looks awful, but I do wish that I had the original look to her still. But always trying to find her online, it's too expensive. Trying to find any kind of Fashion Fever doll if you know what you're looking for. So I was very, very surprised to find her, this Gillian, at Savers. And even though this one, she had her hands chewed off and she had permanent marker all over her body, and her feet were missing and stuff, her head was basically perfect, and I'm just really happy that I was able to find this doll again. Even though I wasn't really keeping an eye out for her, it was so good just being able to say, hey, I finally have this doll back without it being horribly ruined. And weirdly enough, her body matches the Raquel peachy skin tone, but her head it's a lot lighter, and it matches the Made to Move Asian body really well. And that was also something I noticed as a kid, like that her head was a lot more pale than her body. And so that's probably why I've never seen her original body again, so yeah. That's probably one of the reasons why I did start customizing and I did start hybriding, because I noticed that the bodies were weirdly awful. But yeah. Very happy, got her Sculpt, and yeah. I also got this Teresa Scoped, and even though Teresa Scoped was a huge part of my childhood, because like growing up, she was like the only brunette doll that you could really find locally for me. And even though I don't know who this one is, I really do love her delicate kind of screening, and her hair is lovely, and it was in a high ponytail before, but I boiled it down so it lays down like this, and I put her on a fashionista artsy body, because yeah, her head is a bit more orange than the artsy body, but it does the job, so yeah. And a couple of days ago, I did go to a Doe Show, but that was mostly it was mostly antique and baby dolls in general, and so I felt very awkward when people asked me what kind of dolls I collected, because my dolls weren't expensive, they weren't antique, but I did find this one woman. She was selling a lot of Harley Davidson dolls. Like, she had like almost all of the Barbie dolls from there. And while most of the older ones, they were priced like over $100 and stuff, I did find one of my holy grail sets, which was the Barbie and Ken set. Dun, 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 dun. And yeah, this was the set where Ken was introduced with the pivotal body. And I remember when it first came out, and I was like dying to like even get my hands on one of this set. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to find him for like under $100, like at local toy stores and stuff. So I never really did get him. But yeah, the seller was selling her for this set for $70, and even though that did take a lot out of my actual doll budget, I knew I had to have these because I never would have seen this set ever again. So yeah, Ken uses like the Twilight Edward sculpt, but I think it really works for him like that, because he has really good cheekbones, he has like really interesting features to him, and I think they're really brought out in this rather than like washed out and like with a really goofy hairstyle. And yeah, and even though I'm not a huge fan of the pivotal body, like the hips don't bend that well, and that it still suffers from like the 2000s kind of engineering, I do appreciate this doll for being like the first Ken doll with updated articulation since like the 90s. So I'm very happy that I got him, and I haven't really done much with him aside from like sort of wash out his hair and redressed him into Twilight Jasper's clothing. So yeah. On the other hand, though, Harley Davidson Barbie, she was not liked at all by doll collectors. Like, I've never seen anyone who has actively said, I love this Harley Davidson Barbie, like, you know, and actively looked for her. The articulation, like, she had articulated knees, but her arms were stiff. They were very stiff. And so people felt cheated that they got one articulated doll and one semi-articulated doll. But since I got this set, I really, it actually gave me a chance to look at face a lot closer, and it's very... It has that very detailed collector's look that I love that Mattel used to do. And I do kind of miss it now, considering that the newer Mattel collector dolls, a lot of the painting is very plain, and they're more like decals rather than airbrushed on. While this one, you can clearly see there's like a bit of like airbrushing like quirks to it. So yeah, I basically so while I didn't like her stiff arms, I saw that she had potential. So I got a Glam Knight Leah doll, and I boiled both of the shoulders, like, to the point of almost burning my hands off, to get the arms soft enough to switch around, and yeah. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the model moves kind of, like, torso and the pivotal legs, because I do think they're a bit too scrawny, and they're a bit too elongated. But the arms... But every time I put the pivotal legs onto the belly button body, it just looks so much weirder. It looks awful to me. So I guess I had to compromise and switch the arms instead of the legs. So, yeah. I also rerouted her bangs because they were just awful blah 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 things. So, yeah. It's nice to have just like a couple more dolls that I really wanted when they came out, but I never did get them, so I'm happy that I got them now, so yeah. And that was meant to be the end of my video, but today I had to go to an appointment next to a Savers I rarely go to, and I did find a bag of dolls that I really wanted, so... Dun, 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 dun. So I mostly got this doll for... I mostly got the bag for the Palm Beach Midge, because the other two dolls, their heads were completely obscured by the really messy tangled hair. And I thought, oh, it's just gonna be some kind of generic Barbie with, like, her blonde hair and then, like, her kind of strawberry blonde hair. But it turns out that this is the vintage style Wizard of Oz Glinda. Like, I recognize those lips and that eyeshadow anywhere, and every time I find like a repro doll at Savers, I get really excited because they were just the kind of dolls that I wanted when I was growing up, but I never did have the money to buy them. So finding them at Savers for like $5 for 3 dolls, it's very exciting for me. I don't know what I'm going to do with her hair because it's kind of like limp looking and still very wet from styling it. But I'm very happy I got that. And I was so surprised seeing the fairy godmother doll from the live-action Cinderella movie. Just because I got this doll like 2 weeks ago, so... having like both of them together now, it kind of works. So I basically tossed her body already because when I pulled it out of the bag, like it was kind of sticky and it had lots of stains on it, and like I just didn't even want to touch it, let alone like try to fix it. So yeah, but while I really love this doll head because it looks like Cate Blanchett a lot, this looks almost nothing like Helena Bonham Carter to me. But she has a very kind of like mature female look to her, which I guess I don't have much of that in my collection, considering that like I have a lot of dolls. Like, I really do love it when there's dolls with really unique kind of features, so yeah. Luckily I had a fashionista body spray painted already to match the skin tone, because this body was originally hers, but it just did not work with the neck. But yeah, I'm very happy I got her. I got 2 of the live-action Mattel Cinderella dolls, and yeah. So those 3 weeks, they weren't I didn't consider them very doll focused, but there was a lot of dolls in there, and I apologize for how long this video is. Hopefully I can get back to a more regular schedule after my work placement's over. But thank you so much again for all of your support. Like, all of your kind words, all of your comments, your likes, your reblogs. It all means so much to me. And I hope to talk to you guys soon, so bye.